Yeah.
People going to buy you?
Yeah, absolutely.
Really?
Are you kidding? Yeah. Top shelf.
Boy.
Top shelf.
Oh boy. You were literally just giving me grief
I
about
know.
this.
That's why I had to.
Oh yeah.
If I say you're prime, I can say I'm top shelf.
No.
So the question is this: how do we live the best life that we can with the limited amount of time that we get to be here? Is it by accumulating success and fame and fortune and everything else that society tells us that we need in order to be fulfilled? Or is it much more simple than that? My name's Derek Wilson. I'm the host of the Primal King podcast, and we're going to be answering this as well as many other questions as we move forward.
What is up, everybody, and welcome back to another couples edition of the Primal King podcast.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Here we go.
You call me sir now?
No, I do not.
About time you learned some respect.
I do not.
Come on.
Not happening.
Kind of like how this is starting.
Oh my gosh.
Finally.
We're just going right there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
anyways,
I saw a pretty interesting Facebook post question.
Mm,
I'm going to pose this to you.
Oh gosh. See again. Here we go. Me first.
Yeah, you start.
Okay.
So it was something along the lines. Maybe I should actually find it real quick. But it has to do with marriage. So I figured that would be a great place to start today. Don't you think?
Sure.
While I'm doing that.
This is spurring all your creative thoughts.
Yeah, steal it from other people, I guess. Because obviously I lack creativity and you never give me any ideas.
Oh my gosh. Okay.
Okay. So from my man Keith Yackey, he said, quick test. If you were to wake up single right now, exactly as you are, and you know you needed to become market ready to attract love, what is the first thing you would do? And then he kind of goes on to talk about a few different things, but it kind of comes down to this, which I think is really interesting and why I thought it'd be a fun conversation. Because think about how easy it is once you like achieve your goal, whether that is a wife, husband, whatever it is, to like get super complacent and then just almost kind of let yourself go or stop valuing it.
Mm-hmm.
So if you were to find yourself in that terrible, terrible situation to where you and I weren't together, I know that would be really, really hard for you. Right?
Yes.
Yes. Sarcasm. I see. But do you feel like you would be market ready? And I can tell you what I think, but
about me or about you? Oh,
about
gosh. You. Oh gosh. See, why do I have to go first in these things? So to be market ready or things I would do, like, I don't understand, I guess.
No, it's basically,
because I think of a couple, I'm like, wow.
Well, look at it this way. If you were to be single and
like, what would you do? What would you like? Yeah. Because, what are things you would change?
Well, okay, I'll set this up a little further. How many times, I'll never forget younger in life. I know a guy, we'll leave it at that. And this probably actually happened a lot, but I remember a guy who was with this woman and then they split up, and I think they were pretty serious. I don't think they were married. I don't know, but they were pretty serious. And then they split up. It was like the next thing you know, like he's out like doing all this stuff. She goes and like gets fake boobs and like starts really well. And it was just funny because it's almost one of those things where it's like, well, what if you guys had done all of those things like 6 months earlier?
Yeah.
You know, like, and not to say that you have to get fake boobs or you have to whatever.
Yeah.
But it's like, what if you took yourself, your life, your, everything about yourself as serious in your marriage as you would if you were outside of your marriage. Yeah. And so like, I can say with you, I know you work out. I know you like try to do things from a spiritual standpoint to stay grounded. Mm-hmm. So I would say, if I do say so myself, you'd be pretty marketable.
Oh, thank you.
Right?
Oh my God.
I mean, I don't know. I guess it's not like I feel like you'd wake up and be like, now I'm going to work out. Now I'm going to get in shape. Like,
no. And I think you're right. And I guess that's why the things that I'm thinking of aren't physical things. Cause I guess that's not where, I think I'm okay there, I guess, or I don't know. I don't know. I don't feel like I need to go get fake boobs tomorrow. But like I see more two things that are maybe not exactly what people would pick. Like, and I get what your question is, but at the same time, I think they have implications that apply to this. So the two things, one of them would be, I think the only time, and maybe this is a little more like physical in a sense, but it's like you know, again, if I was dressing to impress everywhere I went, 'cause I
Oh,
never
there you
knew
go.
where my spouse was going to be found at or something, right? I mean, like we laugh about it all the time, but it's like I'm either dressed and ready or I look homeless because I have done nothing with myself and haven't showered and go to the store and I just had worked out and probably stink and like, but I don't care. Like nobody's in the store that I care to like be impressing at that moment. And that's just life. And I either smell like cows or horses or sweat, I guess. So, or like I said, or I'm dressed and like ready to go. So maybe that would be one. But the other that I foresee, and this is more, I guess, in the dating realm, is like now, and maybe it's a healthy thing because we're home and that's where we do things. But like, I don't ever go do anything. Like, I don't have like hobbies or like, you know, because again, like we've talked about people even we know where they're like trying to date people, like, where do you find people? And so it's like, I would have to
Tinder.
go, yeah, no. But I would have to like, I don't even know what I'd do. I mean, again, you hear people like take up golfing and they go join like golf leagues or they like involve themselves in things. Like I don't do anything like that. So I would have a really hard time meeting people because I don't do anything
Yeah. Well, you
outside of
probably
like,
have to start doing those
yeah,
things.
I guess that's what I'm saying. So that would be something where, again, if it was like all of a sudden you're like single and like, okay, I want to
But
try to find someone,
kind of
but I
feel
would
like
have to.
I don't feel like this is an exercise on like how would you go out there and
No, but I guess what I'm saying is this is where I'm going backwards is that like it also though from a healthy standpoint, like is it healthy that I don't do anything or we don't do anything? Like again, like I mean, we go to we do some stuff, I guess, but I mean, it's like if it's not a family function or sporting events, like we don't do a lot. Like,
yeah. Yeah.
I mean, you hear people who are like going, I mean, whether it's going to horse shows, whether it's going to again ropings or whether it's outside of that world, you know, like again, people are on golf leagues, people are going to Top Golf, people are going to movies, people are like pickleball, like I mean, whatever, right? Like we don't do things like that. So our social circle is pretty small.
Yeah.
So I guess that's what I'm saying is aside from just like how would I date someone? That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying like, is it something that to be your best self, like should you be doing
Probably.
things? Again, maybe even together, it goes back to like dating or I don't know.
Well, I look at it to where, you know, because I remember like after we were married, like I got a lot fatter and just like kind of was like, yeah, that's what you do. I mean, think about like how many like late 20-year-old dudes, especially, or women, I guess, it's probably both.
Yeah, both.
It's like, you know, you're in your early 20s and you're fit and you're vital, you know, the vitality's there. And there's smoke and passion and blah, blah, blah. And then you get married and a couple of years later, you run into that person. You're like, whoa, okay. Like life's been like, you know, you've been doing good.
Yeah.
You wave that thing away, I guess. So, on the YouTube side. But anyways, it is interesting though, because there is just like this thing of maybe comfort that, you know, or even, and this is fine, but think about how many people like you're dating, you're on your best behavior, and then you get married and 2 years later, it's like you're Dutch ovening, you know, your significant other, you know?
Oh my God.
Or just like stuff like that to where it's like, okay, that's.
Well, I think it would also be something again, because the whole purpose of this is to be reflective, obviously, but I mean, I'm going to make you answer as well. But I mean, it's things even where it's like, you know, again, when you're dating, let's say even your first date, right? Second date, third date, you probably don't go to dinner and mess around on your phone the whole time or watch the sports game above your spouse's head. Like, yeah, they don't ever do that or anything.
I have done that from day one.
But I mean, I'm just saying, like, are those things as well that like you're doing because you're complacent? You're like, great, this is my 685th date with you. Like, I don't really care anymore.
I think that's for sure.
You know?
Well, and then you wonder so often, like, why does the passion go away? Why does the spark, you know, no more flame or whatever? And it's like, well, if you look back, it's like the person you married was like, you know, 40 pounds lighter, had all these big goals and dreams, had all this passion for life.
Well, and probably for you as well. Like all your attention
I'm talking about me.
All your attention was on you. Like, you know, the other person.
Yeah.
I mean, like you went out, you were like, oh, we're going out because they want to hang out with me, not just because they want like a burger, or a burrito.
Yeah.
You know?
Well, yeah. I mean, I think that it's natural, right? Like we always kind of covet new things. I mean, think about like a car. you first buy it and it's like, there will be no kids eating in here. There will be, you know, no shoes on or whatever. And then 6 months later, you're like, just get in and eat your burrito. And I don't care if it spills everywhere. We just need to go.
Clean it up.
Yeah. And I think that there is like just some natural human tendencies around that. But I do also come back to the fact of like, you know, what are some of those lines? You know, what are some of the lines to where it's like, okay, yeah, like there, because part of being married, which is great, I think, is there is the comfort of like someone seeing you who you truly are, right? Because let's face it, like when we're dating,
you're putting your best.
Yeah, it's not like the real you. It's like the Instagram version of you, right? Like it's the highlight reel of you. But then you go through some stuff, right? You know, maybe it's hardships, maybe it's loss or death or all of these things. And then it reveals more and more of you until you're finally like, okay, I'm totally comfortable, which is a great place to be. But at the same time, it's also a really easy opportunity to get super complacent, right? Like you go from, let's say, lingerie to parkas when you go to bed, or you go to, you know, like so many of these things. So I guess, like, what do you think? You said you had a question for me, but you never asked questions. So
no, I said I want you to answer the question. You asked me this question. So what would you, if you were,
if I were to
suddenly
wake
single
up
today, what would you do different?
Oh, geez, so much. No, just kidding.
See what I deal with every day?
Oh, well, no, like I don't really feel like today I would change a whole lot to be like quote unquote market ready. But I think if you asked me this question like 15 years ago, it would have been like, oh boy, I'm going to have to get my ass on a treadmill. I'm going to have to like eat better. I'm going to have to like make more money. I'm going to have like, I would have had probably a list of things.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you feel like you're market ready right now?
Yeah. Like prime market.
Oh my God.
No?
Yeah, I agree. But just you're so, the way you say it is so funny. Oh my gosh.
There's been a lot of my life where I was definitely like chuck roast.
And now you're a prime.
Now I'm probably like ribeye.
Oh my God.
Not quite filet, you know? Maybe not quite filet. I get a little older, getting a little more gray in the beard. I don't know. Isn't that what people do too when they get older and they find themselves single? You got to go like the Billy Mays.
Oh gosh.
Like,
yeah. No, they start dyeing their hair and
start dyeing your beard. I don't
yeah.
have any hair, so it'd have to be the beard.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
So I don't know. Maybe another year or two I'll be filet, and better watch yourself.
Okay. I can't even take you seriously.
Well, if you can't laugh at yourself,
I
you know,
I get it.
Got to be able to do that. But so let me ask you this then, because I want to frame it a little bit different way. But do you think it is worth like the exercise for all the wonderful people out there to like actually go through this exercise? Like, do you think it's worth it to be like, okay, we're madly in love, we have a great marriage, whatever, but God forbid something happened and I was single. They left me, they, God forbid, died, whatever. Like, would I be quote unquote market ready? Like, do you think that's a good and healthy exercise?
Well, yeah, I do, especially in the sense where I do think there's so many people that get just complacent or, you know, and kind of like you've talked about before, like when I think we even said this maybe on the last podcast where it's like all of a sudden the person's like, that person just left her like out of nowhere. And it's like, well, there probably was something going on. Like there's not usually just completely out of nowhere. And what I mean by that is I'm almost even thinking that you can't put your best foot forward if you don't feel good about yourself.
Yeah.
So whether that is whatever you want to get done, again, is it getting more fit? Is it just eating better? Is it, you know, being more ambitious? Is it whatever, again, whatever that person would say in that question. I mean, let's say if I was like, yeah, you know, if I was going to get back on the market, I would need to lose 25 pounds. Well, that probably means that I don't feel good about myself as I am right now, which probably means I'm not putting my best foot forward. I'm not, you know, confident, like all the things, which just relates to all sorts of other problems.
I think weight's like such an easy one, right? Because all of us, we just do. It's harder. Like I will be the first one to admit it is so much harder to be fit now than it was 10 years ago, right?
But let's say even, okay, let's take it another, this is maybe just a woman's thing, but it's like, let's say, okay, your house right now is like always a mess, but you're like, whatever, I don't care. Kids and family or husband are just here. I don't really care. It is what it is. But all of a sudden you're like, oh, I'm inviting like the new boyfriend over. I need to clean the house and I need to fix that repair. And like, I mean, it could be even things like that, right? But again, that means that at your core, you're really not okay with it. You're just kind of chalking it up to,
well, I think that's where I would go with it. And that's where I was going when I say like, it's easy to talk about weight so much because so many of us maybe do kind of have some issues around that. but it's like so many areas of our
There's
life.
tons of things you could think of.
You know, it could be the house. It could be how dirty your car is all the time. It's like, oh, if I've got a new girl riding in here with me, I need to make sure this thing's spotless. Or, you know, you could, again, like just literally go down the list of things. But like you said, I think that when you have those thoughts, like if you were to say, okay, you know, my wife, my husband, they decided to leave me today and I was back on the market tomorrow, what would be the things that I would almost be the most maybe self-conscious of?
Yeah.
And if you can think of those things right now being married and work on correcting those, it seems to me like that would not only instantly help your marriage if it is struggling at all, but it would also help you because ultimately, and I know we did talk about this a little bit on the last episode, but if you are struggling in your marriage, like I always go back to, it probably is something that I did. I mean, outside of obviously infidelity or lying, you know, spouse lying to you, but like if just things are off, it seems like so often in my experience,
you're at least part of it. I mean,
at least part of the problem, if not the
Exactly.
entire problem.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and again, I think that's exactly what I was saying was just there's so many different pieces of like, what's bothering you on a day-to-day basis. And again, whether in that, I mean, I can relate in the sense where, like I said, when you said car, it makes it funny because my car is a mess right now. It's like we lived out of it this last weekend. We were jet boat all weekend. And, you know, it's like, it is. And so then I'm just like cranky about it. Or, you know, what's like one of those things and people laugh. Like if I walk in my back door and my mudroom is messy and there's like dirt all over, I am like immediately just like pissed. Like it's so bad. I hate it. Cause then when you walk through it, it gets mud everywhere. So I tell Derek and others, I'm like, if you want to make me happy, just make sure when I walk in, like the mudroom and like right there is clean.
I much prefer you to angry clean.
I know. Yeah. He loves it when I angry clean.
Is that like, I would love to hear from you all out there. Is that just a woman thing?
I don't know. I know
like,
many women do that.
No, I'm just wondering, like, how many women
do men angry clean? You
I
probably do
know.
other things. What do you do angry? You probably like angry feet or something like
angry.
that. Oh, whatever.
I get angry. But no, like, I just wonder if there are very many women that are like happy cleaners that are just like dum-de-dum, just cleaning.
Maybe sometimes like I cleaned earlier today and I was happy.
You are a hurricane when you clean.
Well, when it gets to that point, and yeah.
Yes, it is like out of my way.
But when everybody's gone, like today, like I said, everybody was gone and I could pick up. I love that.
It's probably because I wasn't in there.
Probably.
I think it's just like maybe if there's another human being.
It goes back to my like love language of that, like I want like acts of service and everybody else is walking over the piles of disaster and just like living life and don't care. And I'm like, okay, well, if I'm gonna have to get this done, then I guess I have to do it and everybody else is gonna hang out.
Maybe I angry cook.
Yeah, you probably angry cook.
I did last night.
Did you?
Yeah.
You were grumpy.
I was tired.
You were grumpy even earlier today. I'm making enchiladas tonight.
I think so I'm grumpy, hungover grumpy. Because I had like a, not like beer hungover. I'm saying, like, I have like a being grumpy hangover.
Oh,
because I had like a really long day, stupid trailer tire to work stuff to whatever, right?
You were doing kind of all the things yesterday.
I had to cook.
You were like the grill master. I don't know the people know, like I do not know how to cook anything. Even to cook like a burger, I'm literally like, just tell me how many minutes to put it on each side. Like, I don't know what I'm doing.
You crushed those instant potatoes though.
Shut up. What an ass.
No, that was a compliment. Words of affirmation. No? Oh gosh. If you're not watching on
digging
YouTube,
the hole.
Okay,
so I was gonna make you enchiladas for dinner.
Oh no, now I have to angry cook again.
Yep.
Oh no. No, I don't want to angry cook anymore.
Oh my gosh.
But no,
like that would be even something, right? Let's go back to our topic where it's like maybe you're an awful cook, but you're like, well, whatever. Like they aren't gonna leave me over it. Versus if again you're trying to like swoon someone. So yeah, I think it's just important to, you know, and I tell people this, and I don't know, some people get angry, but it's like, I don't work out to like lose weight. I don't work out to like necessarily like, I mean, the look is a great sub product of working out regularly. But for me, I can stay the exact same. I don't really lose or gain or whatever. My body doesn't change that much.
You suck.
But exactly, that's why people get angry.
Yeah.
Like I said, my body doesn't change if I work out 1 day a week versus 7 days a week. However, mentally, it's game changer for me. Like I feel good because then I'm like, well, I worked out 7 days a week or again, 3 days, whatever it might be. Like this is where my body's going to be. And I know that I'm doing the best that I can with that. And then I'm like happy with, again, I'm not going to be a 5'6", 120-pound model anytime soon, but Like I'm good with what my body is because it's like where my body wants to be. And so having that confidence of that mental, and I guess that's what I'm going back to is like, if you want to be a good cook, then like practice cooking, or like if you want to have your house cleaner, like pick up a couple of things, like whatever you said in that question or that answer of the question you asked, like just a couple little things, you might really not do that much different, but just mentally you'll feel a lot better about yourself.
I always wonder too, like how many of us take for granted that we'll always be married, right?
Oh,
Like I think I
100%.
do.
100%.
Yeah. And so like the question that was asked at the beginning of this might be a question because honestly, like when I read that post, I was like, that's a very interesting question.
Mm-hmm.
Never really thought about it. I mean, I think you always have maybe in the back of your mind, like if
Well, we've
something
joked
were to
about it. We're like,
happen,
if you die, this is what I'm doing.
Yeah.
Like, you know.
yeah, because I've told you before, like if you die, I don't know that I have like the mental capacity
No.
to ever date again.
Yeah.
Maybe I guess you get to that point, but it just seems so like tiring and overwhelming to me that I'm like, I'll probably just be single
Daunting.
forever.
Yeah.
I'm an awesome loner. Like I can go days without seeing people anyways. So I'd probably be like, okay, like the male version of the old maid, I guess. Like,
Yeah.
I don't know.
There you go.
But you know, when you are married, I think that there are sometimes I wouldn't say like this invincibility that you'll always be married because it does like, even if you have a bad marriage, like it still takes work, I think, to kind of stay together. But maybe if more people ask themselves the question of like who would I want to be if I was back on the market? And then,
go ahead.
well, and then like, who would I want to be if I was back on the market? And then what would I need to do in order to feel that way? And then, because I think the other thing that happens too, real quick, is that when you start getting better in a relationship, in a marriage, when you start doing some of these things, one of two things happen. I'd love to get your take on this, but I think one of two things happen. Number one is that your spouse will kind of fall in line with it and be on board with it. In which case, awesome, right? Because you took the initiative and the effort to be able to like make your life better, which in turn makes your spouse's life better. And that can be in a number of different ways, right? Like I think sometimes if you have a spouse who is crazy about fitness, your spouse at some point is likely to jump on the bandwagon. And you can kind of go down all of it, right? Like if you become like a really successful business person, maybe you're learning new business things. Like I think a lot of times if you have a good marriage, the other spouse is like just naturally inclined to be more curious and open to those things.
Yeah.
But the second thing that I think can happen is that they completely reject it.
Well, resent you almost.
And yeah, and they'll resent you. Like if all of a sudden, you know, because I've seen this happen too, which is, you know, maybe you have this marriage and one of the people starts getting really fit, the other person resistant to it, and that person ends up looking really good, feeling really good, and they start raising their standards, and all of a sudden your spouse is no longer up to your standard and they get a divorce because of it.
Yep.
So I have seen that as well, which is always interesting. But I always feel like the best thing we can do is become the best version of ourselves, try to impact the most amount of people around us, and ultimately kind of the whatever they say, the high tide lifts all boats.
Yep.
What do you think of that?
No, I agree completely. And I do. I think that it's either, well, and you take even like you and I, like if one of us was completely like, I don't know, drink soda and beer all day long and eat crap and just like not care and never do anything physical, like then, you know, you just, it'd be really easy to fall into that. But instead, where we're both like, okay, well, we got to go work out. Like we do it together. I mean, it's a game changer. And I know other people, you know, are that same way when there's couples. And again, it just makes it so it's like we've talked about, like we might not hang out and go on a quote unquote date, but it's like we work out every day together. Or today it's like both of us, like we're just kind of feeling like want to do something out of the gym. So it's like we went for a hike up the mountain together, you know, I mean, but again, if you had somebody who was like, no, I'm going to lay here and eat Cheetos, you go for a walk.
Well, you do start resenting it, right?
Yeah.
Because I think that as, you know, if you start raising your standards, here's what happens. And what I've noticed as well is that, and I think a lot of people look at this as if you're like stuck up or snooty or whatever. But I think when you start trying to pursue excellence, anything outside of excellence almost like pisses you off.
Yeah.
And it's not that you're judging anybody who's not living up to that standard. It's just more so, I think you start seeing what is possible and what people's potential really is. And it like makes you get mad at the fact that people are wasting it. Like
well,
that's
it
what
goes
I've
back,
noticed.
and I love that. You know, it's that idea of when people, and again, you can take working out, cleaning your house, whatever. When people are like, "Well, I wish I could do that," or "I wish my house could be like that," or whatever it is, right? But it's always one of those where it's like, "Well, it could."
Yeah.
Again, you're making choices that it's not. And that's great. Like if that's not your priority, wonderful. But at the same time, like it's not I can't. Like you can.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, it's just again,
I
what are
won't.
those steps? Yeah, I
I
won't.
mean, that's really more so what it comes down to is
Yeah.
so much of life is like that, right? It's like,
Mhm.
oh, there's no way I could ever have the time to
Well,
do
it's
this,
just like
that,
the
or
people
the
who are like, oh, that person always looks so put together and so nice, whatever. And it's like, well, then you might need to get up 20 minutes earlier and get ready.
Mhm.
Like, don't like you can. I mean, it's waking up, it's making the point to get dressed or whatever, you know, it is.
Yep.
Again,
Well,
with,
and I think it starts with placing a priority on something like
Yeah.
that, right? Because there's a lot of people that are like, yeah, so and so is always all done up and looks great, but I just don't value that with my time.
yeah,
And that's fine too.
Yeah.
But I think kind of coming back to the initial question, and I think it's a fascinating like exercise to run through, which is, are you marketable? Like if you were a product, would people want to buy you right now? What do you think?
Yeah.
People going to buy you?
Yeah, absolutely. Are
Really?
you kidding? Yeah. Top
Oh
shelf.
boy.
Top shelf.
Oh boy. You were literally just giving me grief
I
about
know.
this.
That's why I had to.
Oh yeah.
If
Yeah.
I say you're prime, I can say I'm top shelf.
No. Now, I said I'm like a ribeye, not a fillet, but a ribeye. A little extra meat, you know what I mean? A little round belly sometimes. But
Oh my
you know,
gosh.
still pretty darn good at
Yep.
41 years
Pretty
young.
darn good.
Right?
Yep.
A little gray in the beard.
It's all good.
It's all good. It's wisdom.
Wisdom, exactly.
Wisdom. Yes. If you don't have any gray in your beard, how can you be that smart?
Exactly. I guess so. I don't know.
That I don't know if that makes sense or not, but I'm going with it.
Sure. Own it. Go for it.
Oh, awesome. So we're gonna try again to try to keep these under 30 minutes. And so because of that, it's gonna be time to start wrapping up.
Yeah.
I want to end with this. Well, first off, what should all the people do?
Everybody should share the show. I am going to load this on YouTube. Let's just be honest, slacked off last week. Didn't load it. Yep. So this will be on YouTube if that's where you guys want to watch, if you want to see our smiling faces. And then yeah, just share the show. So anybody who wants to hear it can hear it. If you think it'd be valuable for anybody, share it out there.
We really seem to get a lot of people who liked me describing you as a stuck-up cat.
If you haven't watched that, listen to that episode.
That was
I
last
just
week.
loved
Right?
it when I was getting texts from friends that were like, yes, stuck up cats unite.
Yeah. So apparently a lot of you girls out there are like
made
a
me laugh.
stuck-up cat. If you don't
Right?
know what the
Maybe
stuck-up cat is,
that's what we need to work on from our marketability.
yeah, I guess. Like you could create this whole culture around being stuck-up cats, and all of us dudes do not like it.
I know.
So there you go. Awesome. No, guys, we would appreciate it if you would share the show any way possible that you can. Put it in your Instagram stories, share it on wherever you're on. I don't even know. Like, I'm not on TikTok. I think TikTok just got banned, by the way.
Oh, good.
Oh, good.
Probably a good thing.
Yeah. I don't know how I feel about banning stuff, though. I don't know. Very mixed on that. That's probably a topic for a different day.
Yeah.
I'm not into the whole
TikTok. Not
TikTok.
Twitter, but TikTok.
Yeah, TikTok. I'm not into TikTok, but
what
a lot of people are.
I just had a funny thought I'll talk
What?
to you about later. Certain individuals are gonna life is gonna be over if their TikTok's banned.
Uh-oh. Yep. Yep. It'll be a bad day for there's a lot of people who make a lot of money with some of these social media sites. So
so why'd they ban it? What's the purpose? So you can say I don't know any of this.
We'll talk about this.
Okay, we'll talk another time.
Off the air. I don't think maybe I don't know. Maybe you guys do care about TikTok, but I really don't.
I don't either. Okay.
Never been on there. So anyways,
yeah.
If you want to share it, if you do have TikTok, sounds like it's supposed to go away by January or something.
No,
so you've got 7-8 months to share the show on TikTok if that's
Instagram,
what you want
Facebook,
Instagram,
YouTube,
Facebook, yeah.
Anywhere what are these podcasts? I was gonna say platforms. Anywhere podcasts are streamed, you can share it, send text to somebody.
Yep.
I think these guys are ridiculous. Listen to how silly they are. I don't know. Whatever.
Yeah. I mean, sounds good to me. All right, everybody. Hopefully you enjoyed this one. Again, we will be trying to keep these under 30 minutes long going forward. Sometimes I don't know that you can help it.
Oh my gosh, whatever.
You just want to talk more and more and more.
I got things to do today.
Oh, okay. You got things to do today. All right, everybody.
That's the YouTube.
Yes. Make sure that you share the show out there. Tell people about it. If you're liking it, want to hear, if you guys like the Stuck Up Cat episode, let us know. It was pretty entertaining getting the messages and the text coming in from that one. If you think you're marketable, awesome. Let us know on that too.
Yep.
right? If you're not
Absolutely.
marketable, get it together.
Get marketable.
Yeah. All right, everybody. Have an awesome day. Talk to y'all soon.
I absolutely love having you as a listener of the Primal King podcast. If you don't want to miss out on the great content, then it's time to hit that subscribe button right now. Do not be left behind. And then share your thoughts and feedback with a written review of the show. I read every single one of these, and it helps me make sure I am serving you best. It also allows others to find this content, and it builds this community. Make it an awesome day, and we'll see you next time.